Time to go racing in fantastic fashion here at the Yas Marina circuit for the third race of the weekend of round 4 of the 2024 Formula Regional Middle East Championship. Great to be with you once again. Jake Sanson here in commentary box position. And this is set to be a very exciting final race of the weekend before we head to Dubai. We've had 8 brilliant races on the Yas Marina Grand Prix circuit. Now we get to have one final race of the season here before the season finale next week down the road in Dubai. And what a brilliant facility, yet again, the nation's capital has been to us. We have been fantastic beneficiaries of this amazing place. The marshals team and the officials and the organisers have once again done their utmost to give us an amazing place to go racing, and they never disappoint. They've been absolutely magnificent for us once again. And so, as we come to this 9th race of the year at the circuit and 12th race of the season full time, we've got a very interesting starting grid to talk about. Race 2 results are not yet declared official. There are still a few more investigations ongoing for those who watched race 2 earlier on and wanted to know what the outcome of the interesting and various investigations is. I don't have any news on those yet because they've not been made official. So, we're going to focus purely in this race on the 3rd race of the championship. I guess the ramifications of race 2 will become apparent after race 3 has finished. So obviously the reason why we're having our 3 races across Friday and Saturday in Formula Regional Middle East on this particular occasion is because there's quite a few team personnel, drivers and engineers alike who are scheduled to be in Bahrain tomorrow for the FIA Formula 3 test. And so that is why we decided to move the schedule forward to comply with those drivers and engineers' wishes to be at the Formula 3 test session. We like to try and collaborate and cooperate wherever possible. And those guys will get the opportunity to get on the plane tomorrow to Bahrain, and we wish them all the very best for their test. And then they'll be able to return to us in time for the season finale next weekend at Dubai Autodrome. But of course, with there's still 28 minutes plus the additional lap of Formula Regional Middle East racing to come, you can see for yourself that the drivers have just left pit lane, so they're going to be down on the starting grid very soon indeed, as will we, to focus in on the drivers that will give us a spectacular showcase. And there is definitely going to be a spectacular showcase incoming. We are very excited to see what's going to happen out there on the course. We'll have some terrific battles and a very exciting race run. So a few interesting things to talk about over the course of this upcoming race. Aaron Waj is taking a little bit of stock of the situation from race 2. He's still processing that Giovanni Mascio scored his first points in an FIA affiliated racing series. He did indeed in race 2. Hopefully he'll be able to keep that. So let's talk about the starting grid for race 3, which of course came off the back of qualifying 2 yesterday. There are 4 penalties which will enable, unfortunately, a few drivers to benefit and a few drivers to have problems. So car 44 has a drop of 3 grid positions in race 3. That is Teofil Niles, so he will drop from 12th on the grid to 15th. Also the number 14 car will be starting race 3 from the back of the grid. That is Jose Garfias, who of course did not participate in Q2 based on the fact that he had an issue in Q1 yesterday, which eventually brought out the red flags. Car 69, that is the car being driven by Finley Green. He drops 5 positions from the starting grid, which is very unfortunate for him. Should have been at 23rd place on the grid, so Finley Green now having to take his position in 28th. And we really hope he goes the race distance on this occasion, having had to retire early from both of the first 2 races. He wasn't present at the Dubai Autodrome on track. He was there, but rather dramatically on Friday, he ended up having to be whisked to hospital for emergency appendicitis surgery. So he's very fortunate to still be racing. He's a bit of a fierce warrior. Don't tell me there's damage before they've even gone to the grid. What has happened to Isaac Barashi? We haven't even gone to the grid yet, and Isaac Barashi's got a problem with the rear wheel. The drivers haven't even gone to the starting grid yet, and Isaac Barashi has got what looks to be a loose wheel. Has somebody not done up the wheel, or has he hit something? We have no idea. But Isaac Barashi, the British driver for MP Motorsport in only his 6th start for Formula Regional Middle East this year, that looks to me as though the wheel is not on properly. Well, I don't really know what to say about that, other than the obvious that this is going to be disastrous for Isaac Barashi. He's going to be very lucky to even make it to the starting grid. I've never seen that before, incidentally, in single-seater motor racing. It's very rare to have an issue like that before they've even gone to the grid. Well, that looks to me as though Isaac Barashi is not going to be able to take the race, because just getting it back is going to be a bit of a... Just getting it back to the pits is going to be a bit of a mission. And I'm echoing the sentiments of all sorts of people on the streams. How on earth has that happened? Stephen Gunter thinks he knows the answer. He thinks there's no centre nut on the wheel. So, for some reason, somebody has dropped the ball. Well, a very disastrous start to the race then for the MP Motorsport team, as poor Isaac Barashi has to trundle around to the grid in the hope that he's going to have a car that he can race with, although that is very doubtful at the moment. So, well, to get back on point then, essentially, we've got a few penalties, as I mentioned, drivers having to start from lower positions than they were supposed to be. Teofil Nall and Finlay Green we've already talked about, as well as the number 14 car of Jose Garfias. But yeah, Finlay Green was rushed to hospital on Friday of the Dubai Autodrome round 3 with emergency appendicitis surgery, so he's very lucky to even be in the car. He's in quite some discomfort. I'm hoping he can get to the end of race 3, but if he doesn't, then I'm just hoping he keeps watch of himself. He's clearly a bit of a warrior trying to go the distance. There is another grid penalty, which sadly comes the way of Bruno Del Pino, who was supposed to start this race from 11th and is now going to start 14th, and that is for his antics behind the safety car, I believe, in race 2. He was given a 3-place grid penalty for this start, and that was basically, there's poor Isaac Barashi still trying to trundle around to the pits in the hope, or at least trundle around to the grid in the hope that he can at least get the wheel nut put on. But how much damage will there be to the car before he gets there? But no, to reiterate to Bruno Del Pino, who sadly ended up dropping out of the race from the lead, there is Isaac Barashi. I mean, that is absolutely disastrous. And as you can see, yeah, there's no wheel nut on the car. You can see it when you look at both wheels. There's definitely a wheel nut on the front, but there isn't on the rear. Well, somebody at MP Motorsport is going to have a rather long face. And you've got a feel for the mechanics. They do an absolutely incredible job down there. There's a waft of team of engineers. They've been very overworked. It's not easy when you've got so many engineers all having to rush around after several cars, especially when they are already overworked. They've been pulling long hours. There is the proof. You cannot see the wheel nut on that car because there isn't one. But this is a tough championship for people to work at. Let's not be quick to judge, because obviously these engineers have been working very long hours, usually at least 7 till 7 most days, sometimes even longer than that. And you've got to remember that these guys are very overworked. They've had to cram 5 weekends of racing into 6 weeks. And the MP Motorsport team in particular have had all sorts of difficulties coming here because a lot of their equipment was stuck on a freight in the Red Sea before the season began. So they've had their backs to the wall. So before you rush to judge, you've got to remember that these guys are doing an incredible job. They're working an incredible amount of long hours. But you've still got to say, you've got to feel for the MP Motorsport team. Very, very difficult. So master driving from Isaac Barashi, as Sjallefred Herm points out on the stream, to keep the wheel attached to the car, because that would have been an absolute disaster, him coming home 3 wheels on the wagon. Yet how has he driven that car the entire length of the Yas Marina circuit with the wheels still on the car? I cannot believe how he's been able to keep that on if the wheel nut is not there. And he's not going to overdrive the car by using the chicane. He's just going to try and trundle the car back into position delicately, in the hope that he can bring that car to the grid. And if Isaac Barashi starts this race, never mind finishes this race, that would be an absolutely extraordinary drive, as Isaac Barashi applies for the role of Gilles Villeneuve of Formula Regional. Absolutely astonishing how he's been able to get back to the pits with that. Anyway, Bruno Del Pino picking up a 3-place grid penalty for this one due to not reacting in time off safety car in the first race this morning. And as a result of that, he caught out half the field. So the MP Motorsport team bring Isaac Barashi to his grid position, and there the wheel practically falls off the car as it was not done up properly, or the wheel nut is not there, or it's fallen off the car. They're having to double check it. At the moment, it's not about who did what. It's about making sure that the car is raceable and that Isaac is okay, the car is okay, and that the team is able to come into this race. It happens. Do not judge. These guys have been incredibly overworked these last few weeks, and they are a very professional team at MP Motorsport. It's a very rare occurrence. It's not common. These things do happen. But they're going to get that car ready and together, and hopefully Isaac Barashi should have a car that works going into the race. There you go. Problem solved. Move on. Ancient history. So let's talk you through the starting grid for this race then. Tuukka Tarpanen and James Wharton. They're going to be starting this race from the front row of the grid after their impressive performances in timed qualifying. Then we have Zachary David moving into third position on the starting grid. He'll be alongside championship opponent of Tuukka Tarpanen, Taylor Barnard, who we believe is still under investigation for his incident in race 2, but nothing has been declared on that as yet. Ugo Chukwu lining up fifth position on the starting grid, the young man from New York in his McLaren Junior-backed Mumbai Falcons car. And then we have Costa Taparis, the Evans GP driver who you heard from in our pre-show. Managed to catch up with him a little earlier in the day, did a fantastic job to get himself into his first points in his first podium. Marty Boyer starting in 7th position, doing a great job as he continues his plight. Has lost a lot of points in the first 2 races due to mechanical problems, so hopefully it's going to come good for him in the third race of the weekend. Rafael Kamara, who took the win in race 2, he starts from the 4th row of the grid in P8. And then rounding out the top 10, we have Tazanapol Intrafutbazak and Nikhil Bora, the Thai and the Indian, who will round out the top 10. Then we have Liu Ki in a very strong 11th position on the starting grid for the PHM AIX team. Looks like he could have a very strong run. 12th on the grid is Brando Badua. I noticed that 13th position on the grid is empty. That should be occupied by Enzo Peugeot, the Frenchman. So it looks to me as though poor Enzo Peugeot is actually going to be starting this race from the pit lane. So that could be a really difficult race ahead then for Enzo Peugeot, and very unfortunate for the rookie, who has done a very good job in these first 3 races so far. Bruno Del Pino lines up 14th on the grid. He hopefully will not be too disheartened after losing the win in race 2 when the suspension collapsed on him going into the final corner onto the Formula 1 straight. Then we have Teofil Nal starting 15th on the grid alongside the Kazakhstani driver Alexander Abkasava, who's definitely had his best weekend of the season so far despite being taken out in race 2. Then Kanato Lee, the Japanese driver, lining up 17th on the grid alongside the Australian talent Noah Lyle for the XL Motorsport team, and he was actually able to get points from that previous race, so very encouraging for Noah Lyle. Jesse Carrasquedo lining up 19th on the grid alongside Isaac Barashi, who should be able to start the race. It looks to me as though in essence the car is okay. Edgar Pierre, the Frenchman, he will be starting this race from 21st on the grid. And then we'll have John Bennett, his teammate, lining up alongside him. Then we have Giovanni Mascio, who managed to score his first points in an FIA-accredited series earlier on today in second race of the battles out there. Finishing 10th, could well be promoted to 9th, we're not sure yet. Then alongside him on the 12th row of the grid is Gao Yujia, the Chinese driver. And then we have Wang Shengwei, who is lining up 25th on the starting grid. Emerson Fittipaldi Jr., who was a lot stronger in race 2. They finally seem to have got on top of his issues. There is Emerson Fittipaldi Jr., who drove a brilliant race in race 2 to fight his way to just outside the point scoring positions. He's going to have a very tough race in front of him, but I was very honoured to have lunch with his father, Emerson Fittipaldi, just a short while ago, and he's very confident that young Emo Jr. can actually charge his way forward. Yaroslav Veselaho, 27th on the starting grid. He lines up alongside Finley Green, who we hope is going to be able to charge his way through. And then we have Jose Garfias, the Mexican driver for Santadoc Racing. He is going to be positioning himself there into race 3 at the back end of the grid. But the big story on this one, well, there's been a few of them before we've even got started. Enzo Peugeot is not on the grid. There is Gao Yujia. Very important night for them last night, of course, the R&B Racing team, and they invited me to it. They had a fabulous Chinese New Year celebration last night, and it was very exciting to be part of, to swap stories and learn about the culture of China over the course of last night, and actually see in the new year with them, which was 8 p.m. local time here in the United Arab Emirates. And I'm sure that everybody here who travels to the circuit from China had a wonderful night last night. They're enjoying the first day of the new year in the best manner possible. Motorsport, that's how it's supposed to be done. So the competitors are geared up, ready for the start of racing. And we are very excited about what is to come here on this third and final race of the weekend for Formula Regional Middle East. There are still 3 F4 UAE races to come, don't forget. But yeah, we have already some interesting stories coming into this one. Isaac Barashi limping his way around his reconnaissance lap. He certainly didn't get any actual heat into the tyres, brakes or engine by going out onto the circuit. Just cruised around to take his position on the grid. Hopefully he'll be able to race without incident, despite the fact that he had no wheel nut on that left rear of the car. But fortunately, he is okay now. He's put it into position. They've rectified the problem, so they can now move on and focus on racing. So Zhang Channel on the live stream has asked, is the Fittipaldi mentioned herein related to Fittipaldi in F2? Well, yes, indeed. So Emma Jr. is actually Enzo's uncle, would you believe? And they are absolutely both on the run to motor racing. They're going to be hoping to get into Formula One one day. And it could be very interesting to see which member of the family is going to emulate the 4 members of the Fittipaldi family that have already raced in Formula One, because of course we have Emerson, who is a 2-time world champion and Indy 500 winner. Wilson raced back in the day as well in the late 70s, early 80s. Christian, Emerson's nephew, actually raced in Formula One in the mid-90s. And then of course Pietro Fittipaldi took part in a couple of races at the end of a few seasons back for the Haas F1 team. So it could well be family member number 5 that gets into Formula One at some point. So we'll have to see which member of the family gets there first. Will it be Emo Jr. or will it be Enzo? We'll find out. Well, when the red lights go to green on this occasion, they'll be going around for their formation lap, which is when they will want to dial in the tyres and brake temperatures to get them ready for that first charge forward. As you can see, there is a missing place on the starting grid. That is for the French driver Enzo Peugeot, who rather sadly will now have to start this race from the pit lane by the look of it. So that's very much going to compromise his charge forward. So it'll be really exciting to see what Enzo can do from the pit lane. The man who he was going to be starting directly in front of is his teammate Teofil Nal, who's obviously been here for quite some time. Off they go then, around the course. So now we're going to get ourselves ready to go once more in Formula Regional Middle East. This is the last race of the year on Yas Marina circuit. There is Enzo Peugeot in pit lane, by the way. So you can see him at the pit lane exit. He is going to be starting this race then, but only from pit lane, I'm afraid to say. So we'll talk you through the grid one more time with feeling. Tuukka Tarponen and James Wharton, the Finn and the Australian, on the front row of the starting grid. Zachary David and Taylor Barnard, the Maltese and the British driver. Ugo Chukwu for America and Costa Taparis of Australia, rounding out the top 6. 7th on the grid is Mari Boyer of Spain. Rafael Camara of Brazil is in 8th position. The Thai driver, Tazanapol Indrafurvasak, lines up alongside the Indian talent, Nikhil Bora. 11th place on the grid, the season best for Liu Ruqi, hoping to give the fans back home in China something to celebrate on Chinese New Year weekend. 12th on the grid, the Italian Brando Badua. From the pit lane, it will be Enzo Peugeot. He was due to start 13th. 14th on the grid, the Spaniard Bruno Del Pino, who was cruelly robbed of a victory in race 2 with suspension problems, knocking him out on this corner of the race. So very unfortunate. He was unhurt, but the car unfortunately was pranged. They have managed to repair it in time for race number 3. Teofil Nal lining up 15th on the grid for Santalok, the Frenchman, alongside the Kazakhstani driver Alexander Abgasava, who drove beautifully in race 1 yesterday. Kanato Lee of Japan, who races under a British licence. Noah Lyle, who also races under a British licence, but is actually Australian by heritage. Jessica Rasquedo of Mexico, alongside the British driver Isaac Barashi, who's had that fantastic hobble-wobble all the way back to the starting grid, but has managed to get it going again and should be able to race no problem. Edgar Pierre, the Frenchman, alongside the British driver John Bennett, and then Giovanni Mascio, the Italian, alongside the 2 Chinese drivers, Gao Yujia and Wang Chongwei. And then we have Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. of Brazil, who'll be trying to carve his way through the field like a cat through a paper bag. Then Yaroslav Veselaho, the Ukrainian. Finley Green of Great Britain, the warrior, continues despite having appendicitis surgery just 8 days ago. And then Jose Garfias of Mexico will be lining up from the back of the starting grid. Well, Abe16 asks, is the title battle still alive? Yes, it is. It's still mathematically possible for Taylor Barnard to close up on Tuukka Tarponen. Tuukka did take a 5th position finish in race 1. That, of course, is going to be good enough for him to score 10 championship points. Taylor Barnard, if things remain as they are, will be 8th, and that will give him 4 points. So the 6 points that Tuukka Tarponen gains basically gives him a lead of 31 points with 4 races remaining. There are 100 points available still to score, so you can do the math. It's still perfectly possible for Taylor Barnard to win this title, but he's going to need a little bit of luck, a little bit of fortune, and a heck of a lot of badinage out there if he's going to get the job done. But if anybody can, Taylor Barnard can. Still plenty of racing to come, and obviously there's also a battle going on in the championship race for 3rd in the Drivers' Championship. That's obviously got a lot of people very interested to see how things are going to play out. Rafael Camara has now moved himself firmly into 3rd position in the Drivers' Championship. having scored a victory in race 2 earlier. He now overtakes Martinius Stenzorn, and then you've got the likes of Mari Boyer, Ugo Ugochukwu and James Wharton, all separated by just 7 points. So, 1 race to go here at Yas Marina. The car's on the starting grid. We are ready to go racing for the 3rd time of asking. The green flag flies at the back of the grid, and let's go to battle. The 3rd race of round 4. Tappanen is on pole. Wharton is in 2nd. David and Barnard behind. Let's race at Yas Marina. A great start from Tappanen. He's going to chop right across on James Wharton and make it impossible for him to get through to the first corner as the rest of the field swarms their way through. The grid has made a perfect start. Everybody's gone through without issue or incident. And as they work their way through to the hairpin, it looks like Tappanen has held the advantage in front of Wharton. David, and then another Mumbai Falcons car is there in 4th position. That looks to me like Ugo Ugochukwu has worked his way forward past Taylor Barnard. Mari Boyer's there in 6th position, trying to get the move on Taylor Barnard. Can't get through into the W Hotel section, and running wide, that is one of the MP cars. I have a feeling that is going to be Bruno Del Pino who drifts wide, as there is Brandon Badua going wheel to wheel with Rafael Kamara. So Tappanen leads the way. A perfect situation for him with his main championship rival Taylor Barnard down in P5. As up the inside, Nigel Bora tries to get the move on Rafael Kamara. Can't make it work as Brandon Badua drifts out wide. In fact, I think that might even be Tazin the Vuvuzak going sideways there. The rest of the field has gone through perfectly though. No major issues. Up on the inside, that is Bruno Del Pino trying to take on his teammate Nigel Bora. They almost bang wheels. And it's Bora that holds the position for now as they work their way through the S's, down to the hairpin once again. Teofil Nile now trying to step up the attack himself for Santalon. So Tappanen leads. This is exactly what he wanted off the start. And Boyer's going to try and attack Taylor Barnard. Barnard's clearly got an issue there into the hairpin as Boyer's been able to get through. So Taylor Barnard, and the other PHM-AX car is having a problem there. That looked like into Vuvuzak going out wide. So Barnard's looking to attack Mari Boyer. I wonder if the problems they've got with the car have come back. He's really struggling as we go 3, nearly 4 wide on the run to the hairpin. Boyer trying to shake off Barnard. Taparis is having similar problems trying to shake off one of the PHM-AX cars. As up the inside, into Vuvuzak dives through. He runs a bit deep, and so too does one of the MP cars. I think that was Bruno Del Pino that went out wide. Or was it Nigel Bora? Tough to tell as they come through. It was Bora who ran wide. So now Taparis is going wheel to wheel with Brandon Badua, and here comes Rafael Kamara to the inside trying to get through. Taparis has the confidence, but does he have the traction round the outside? No, he doesn't. So Badua's got the place, and now Kamara's going to be wheel to wheel with him. They almost bang wheels as Bora drifts wide, just in there behind Tazin the Vuvuzak. So he has to let in the Vuvuzak go. Up to the W Hotel. Del Pino trying to come back at Bora, and here comes the Frenchman Teofil Nile, and wide goes Liu Duqi. So Liu Duqi goes out a little bit wide, the Chinese driver, dueling as he was there with Noah Lyle. Alex Abkasava getting into the mix there, and I think that might be Isaac Marashi. Still working himself into a good position, considering he only had effectively 3 wheels on his wagon on the lap to the grid. So clearly not a lot of damage to the MP car suffered as Tappanen leads. Wharton. And there's contact at turn 7 under investigation, we are told, but there's certainly no need for a safety car as yet. And I'm not entirely sure who it was with. There goes Edgar Pierre, side by side with Emo Jr. So Emo Fittipaldi Jr. comes and finishes the move around the outside to hold the place in front of the Evans GP car, and he's done it. Good work from Emo Jr. So down to the hairpin once again. Looking for a couple of big bold moves from one of the drivers or two. Well, there's a lot of defending going on as Goy Yugia manages to hold on there in front of Jose Garfias, the Mexican. But still, all square and all's fair in racing. That in the background, you can just about make out Enzo Peugeot, so he is still circulating. He just finds himself down at the back of the field. Junior is now going to have a bit of a job here to keep his rival behind him. That is actually Isaac Marashi going wheel to wheel with one of the race GP cars as round the far side comes Kanato Lee, and Lee gets the job done there. Very nice racecraft from the Japanese driver as Brandon Badua has got past Costa Taparis. I wonder if Taparis had an issue coming out of that corner because he seems to be slowing. Is Taparis in trouble? Well, we'll have to keep a look at it, but the Evans GP car certainly doesn't have the same straight line speed it once did. As Isaac Marashi is still going wheel to wheel there with Kanato Lee and Jesse Kadashkedo. And Yaroslav Vezalaho does not appear to have come through in the XL Motorsport car. So I wonder if he's had an issue there with Wang Shongwei. So Yaroslav Vezalaho and Wang Shongwei seem to have had an issue out there. Vezalaho has now completed the lap. As diving up the inside, that's Edgar Pierre going wheel to wheel again with Emerson Fittipaldi Jr., who round the outside of the W Hotel finishes the job nice and neatly there on the Evans GP. Good work from Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. Goes very well on that part of the course. As Isaac Barashi still dueling with Kanato Lee. Down the home straight of the Formula One circuit now. It's the same layout, but of course we start our races here in the support paddock in Yas Marina in Formula Regional Middle East. And there is Goyuchi up in front of the 69 of Finley Green, the British driver, still making hay while the sun shines, hoping to get to the end of this race, having had a very tough time the last week. There's a big dive from Bruno Del Pino on the inside of his teammate Nigel Bora. Can he get through for the position? Well, they've got to leave each other a bit of space, which they do. And Nigel Bora does hang on to it for the moment, but he's got to be careful not to pull too far across from Bruno Del Pino. He's got to leave his teammate some space, and Del Pino has been able to go slow in, fast out. He is nosing in front of his teammate, and watch out for the man behind them. Teofil Nile fancies his chances. Bora's going to try and commit to the move on his teammate Bruno Del Pino to get the place back. Del Pino goes long and overshoots. Now Bora's got to be careful about Teofil Nile getting past him on the far side. Not a lot of racetrack to play with. Del Pino's now got to respond, but he can't give the place back to Nigel Bora because Teofil Nile is alongside him and going through. So that could really come back to bite Bruno Del Pino. Teofil Nile still trying to continue this move. Bora around the outside. And that's enough for Teofil Nile. No problems at all there to finish off the move on Nigel Bora. And now Ludicky wants to try his luck to get through. As they come up to the W Hotel again, Bora thinks he fancies his chances on the Frenchman Teofil Nile. Just can't quite get this move wrapped up again. Trevor Noah in the background, once again, looking a little bit suspicious of it all. As Ludicky swarms around behind Nigel Bora. Now back to the front. Tuka Tarpanen leads the race. Then James Wharton. Then Zachary David. Ugabuga Chukwu and Mari Boyer. P6 is Taylor Barnard. Then it's Brando Badua, Costa Taparis, Rafael Kamara, and the final point looks like it's going the way of Taz in the Vuvuzak. So Noah Lyle trying to make the moves there on Ludicky. Just outside the points this battle. But still looking pretty hot. But for the Finn out front, Tuka Tarpanen, the Finnish driver, part of the Ferrari Young Driver Programme, loving life in the lead of this race. It's looking pretty serene for the Finn at the moment, and this is definitely going to take him one step closer to winning the championship. The gap is down to 31, back up to 31 points. It's up the inside. Comes the 19 of Kanato Lee. Oh, very tight indeed there. As Kanato Lee just about leaves enough space there for Alexander Abkasava. Mari Boyer is trying to shake off the attentions of Ugabuga Chukwu in front of him here and just go for the move. Ugabuga Chukwu being very defensive. So can Mari Boyer make his attack? Can he make a bid to get past the American? Here he goes. He's come very slow and fast out of the turn, so slow in, fast out, and he's been on the slipstream. But can he get the confidence around the far side? Yes, he can. Mari Boyer, perfect execution of the move there on the American. So Mari Boyer moves his way up into 4th position. Now in the fight for 3rd in the championship, that is quite important because Rafael Kamara finds himself down in 9th, and Mari Boyer is back up to P4. He can try and swing this pendulum back in his favour once again. As far as Taylor Barnard is concerned, it's looking very tough out there. He looks on course to score 8 points, while Tuka Tarpanen is on course to score 25. And that will increase his lead by quite some margin, the Finn. Currently the points lead is 31, but he's going to extend it to 48 if it stays like this. With 75 points remaining, he could win the championship in race 1 of Dubai, effectively, if he's in that particular position. All he would need to do in race 1. Oh, and that is a problem for the 74. That is Enzo Peugeot. So problems then for Enzo Peugeot. There's a yellow flag at turn 9. Now that all depends really on how quickly they can move that and whether it needs a safety car or not, essentially. But that is turn 1 for this particular circuit. Enzo Peugeot has got the car stopped on the edge of the circuit. If he can get it moving again, fantastic. If he can't, then we're going to be under safety car. And I think we are safety car. Yes, we are. So it's quite clear that he can't get the car moving. Very unfortunate for Enzo Peugeot. Game over for him. Safety car for us. It's a race reset with 19 minutes to go. Now, the number 6 has been reported to the stewards. That is Bruno Del Pino, cutting the course and gaining an advantage. I did think that that would come back to bite him. And it's exactly what has befallen the Spaniard. So, very unfortunate. So, very tricky situation for poor Enzo Peugeot. And I think he's very much in a difficulty there. Can't move the car. He climbs out of it. Helpful to the marshals at least, puts the steering wheel back in the car so they can maneuver it. But the Frenchman, Enzo Peugeot, a man who was racing in French F4 last season, it's not gone well for him at all. Very, very disappointing. And that's his first weekend of the season here in the Middle East. Very well done. So it's going to be an interesting one to see how the contenders will cope with the situation. On a safety car restart, Tuukka Tarpanen has actually been very handy. And this is a big opportunity for him. He knows that. Taylor Barnard essentially has to go hard or go home in this particular race. It's not gone according to plan for him. And well, a victory at this stage of the season for Tuukka Tarpanen is almost placing one hand on the trophy, especially with Taylor Barnard currently stuck in 6th position, because that would give him 8 points compared to Tuukka Tarpanen for the win, which will get 25. And that will be a gain of 17, and with the gap currently at 31, that would extend it to 48. That's maths with Jake for the day. But crucially, that would mean that all Tuukka Tarpanen would need to do, if it stays like this in Dubai, is outscore Taylor Barnard by 3 points in race 1, and he would be the Formula Regional Middle East champion. So he's effectively 2 races away mathematically from getting that done. But that doesn't mean that the championship is over by any stretch. Anything can befall anybody. Look at the race from the second race earlier on today. Brina Del Pino was leading and pulling away, and then all of a sudden the suspension broke on him, and that was it, game over. So it can happen to anybody. Now, unfortunately, the marshals have been very quick indeed. And we're told that the incident involving Enzo Peugeot is going to be investigated after the race. So clearly there's a little more to that story, perhaps, than meets the eye. The drivers have got to be alert here, because when the lights go out on the safety car, we will be able to go racing again. That could be at the end of this lap. It could be at the end of the next one. But the drivers have to stay alert. And unfortunately, Brina Del Pino picked up a grid penalty for this 3rd race by not being alert enough behind safety car in race 2 when he was leading. Got caught out by the fact that the safety car was coming in and did not back the field up enough, or certainly adequately. And as a result, we almost had the mother of all shunts behind safety car, as he finally realised there are the lights out on the safety car, so it's only a 1-lap safety car period. And Tuukka Tarpanen is going to get this restart to perfection if he can, ahead of James Wharton, Zachary David, Marty Boyer, and Ugo Ugachukwu from Taylor Barnard, Brandon Badoa, Costa Tavares and Rafael Kamara. This is all going to come down to the Tiger. When is he going to make that restart his own? He gets to choose when he will do so. So Tuukka Tarpanen will essentially pick up the lead of this race, and he becomes the safety car now until he decides to floor the throttle. Will he do it after the chicane or during the chicane? I think after the chicane appears to be what he's doing. Look, he's really backing up this pack. He's trying to second guess everybody. He's still holding that field. Now he's gone for it, and that's just about enough space for him to be comfortable into turn 1. So Tuukka Tarpanen goes into the race restart. It's green, 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 green here in Yas Marina. And Taylor Barnard is actually in trouble from his teammate Brandon Badoa. He's got to be careful into turn 1. Big lock-up from the Mumbai Falcon. That is absolute heaven sent for Taylor Barnard as Ugachukwu runs wide. Barnard's going to get into 5th position, and Ugachukwu's missing a front wing. Ugachukwu is missing his front wing. What happened there? Did he get too close to Mari Boyer on the restart? We'll have to have a look at that again, as Ugachukwu has lost his front wing, and there could be more problems as drivers are running wide, left, right and centre. Costa Tavares trying to stay in front of Rafael Kamara through the W Hotel. But that's a bit of a lifeline throw to Taylor Barnard as he gains another position. Up into 5th place he goes. Now he can take on Mari Boyer, and I'm sorry to say that Ugo Ugachukwu is on a one-way trip back to the pits with a missing front wing. Noah Lyle runs wide as he goes wheel to wheel with Alexander Akasava. And the 2 MP drivers are still racing each other, Brina Del Pino and Nicol Bora. Oh, and there's problems for Ugachukwu even more so. He seems to have tangled in there with Giovanni Mascio. And that is surely going to bring out the safety car again on the first green flag lap back out of it. Well, Ugachukwu was trying to get his way back to the pits, and obviously it can be very tight on these blind corners. Big lock-up from Luduki as he dives in on the inside of Nicol Bora and gets through. Well, Giovanni Mascio trying to get himself away from the scene and park himself out of harm's way. So that's actually very intelligent from Giovanni Mascio. He goes and parks himself at the marshal post, knowing the race is over. Can Ugachukwu get going again, because his front wing is actually stuck underneath his car? So that is a big issue as Bora gets back in on Luduki. We've got yellow flags at 13 and 14 still. Drivers battling away in that final chicane. Are we still going to be under green flag conditions? Can Ugochukwu move the car? If not, we're going to be under safety car again. So there's Mari Boyer going wheel to wheel with Zachary David. They almost bang wheels as Boyer wants to get third position. He's going to go slow in, fast out. They're going to be side by side and safety car's been called. You got a feel for Mari Boyer. He had a good run there. But unfortunately for him, the American Ugochukwu is out of the race on the spot and cannot move the car. So safety car has been called again. And this time, that's a very clear reason as to why. Front wing is there. Fortunately, everybody's aware of it. Well, Ugochukwu appears to have moved his car. But where has he moved his car to? Has he limped back? I think he might well have done. The wing is still there in the middle of the circuit, and that's a pretty scary corner for it to happen. Now, we've only seen the aftermath of the incident by the look of it, but we're going to see Giovanni Mascio reverse and leave his wing at the scene of the circuit. You see, Ugochukwu had already lost his front wing, so the safety car has been called, but obviously they went past the pits on that lap, and then the safety car was called. Well done to the marshal for recovering the wing. And the few bits of carbon fibre. Great work for the Marshall team here. Without them, we are nothing. So we are very grateful and very indebted indeed to the Marshals in the Orange Army around the course. These men and women who give up their time voluntarily to make sure that we can go motor racing. Nothing happens without them, by the way. Doesn't matter how many cars, how many engineers, how many mechanics, how many officials you bring to the race. Without the Marshals, you can't race at all. So we're very indebted to them. And fair play to Giovanni Mascio there as well. Despite the frustrations, he actually assists the Marshals in getting the car out of harm's way there. So, very good to see. And very mature indeed from Giovanni Mascio to assist the Marshals in getting his car out of harm's way there. Not many drivers would have that kind of foresight. They'd be too busy licking their wounds and tending to their bruised egos. But Giovanni Mascio able to help the safety team, the extraction team. So we are going to spend a second lap under safety car just based on the fact that the safety car wasn't quite able to catch them at the right time. So Tarpanen will back off. And the rather beautiful Camaro safety car. There's not many race circuits in the world that can say they've got a safety car as lush as that. The Camaro safety car now holds the front end of the field in this gorgeous backdrop of Yas Island. Ferrari World in the background. I honestly can recommend it as a theme park. Everybody who's told me about it says you've got to go. I'm hoping to on Monday when I've got a very rare day off. Well, if anybody wants to join me, you're more than welcome to. But the battles are still to come in this race as we are getting ourselves ready for the restart. And it's all going to be about, again, Tarpanen gauging this restart effectively. Now, the championship situation has changed slightly, because Taylor Barnard moving up to 5th position gains him another 2 points. He's on course for 10 compared to Tarpanen, who's on course for 25. So as far as the championship is concerned, the gap is set to go up from 31 points as it was at the end of race 2 unofficially to 46 points. Just having to do the math there very quickly. 46 points heading to the Dubai Autodrome. So again, if it finishes like this, all Tuka Tarpanen would need to do is outscore Taylor Barnard by 4 points, and he would become champion in Formula Regional Middle East in 2024. So he can't win the championship today. Even if Taylor Barnard doesn't score points in this race, he can't win the championship today. He'll have to wait till the final round next week in Dubai, but he's definitely getting closer to it by finishing 4 positions up the road from Taylor Barnard and outscoring him by 15. It puts the championship almost, I do stress, almost out of reach. But I've seen that before when drivers have got an insurmountable lead and then suddenly it all turns around in the final weekend. All it means is one bad qualifying performance, one difficulty, one mechanical failure, one accident. The championship can turn around. You've got to take advantage of every opportunity. And the safety car lights are out. Safety car lights are out. So we are going to go racing this time by. So Tuka Tarpanen once again backs up James Wharton and Zachary David. You need to watch for Mari Boyer on this restart. He's getting very hungry for 3rd place. So it could be very interesting to see how he continues. we are going to be racing once more. So, Tuka Tarpanen backs up the pack. James Walton, Zachary David, Marley Boyer, Taylor Barnard, Brandon Badua, Costa Taparis, Rafael Kamara, and the final 2 points paying positions, Taz Indervubazak and Teofil Nile. When is Tuka Tarpanen going to floor the throttle? He's going to wait till the mid-apex of the chicane, is he? Is he already gone? No, again, he's going to back down. It clearly worked last time, so he's going to do it again. Wait for the throttle application. Now he's going to go for it. Just waits one last time, but I think he's actually backed it up too much. I think Walton might get a chance on him here. It's green, and we're racing once again. It's certainly going to be tough for third position. Zachary David's going to have his work cut out from Mari Boyer. Taylor Barnard's trying to get in there as well. So Boyer goes wheel to wheel with David. If you're Taylor Barnard, stay hungry. Keep your wits about you. You might just pick up a podium after all. Tarpanen, Walton, David, Boyer, Barnard, Badua. Still great racing up in the top end of this Formula Regional Middle East. Race number 3 of round 4. The last time we'll witness these guys go wheel to wheel through the W Hotel in the next 8 minutes or so. 7 minutes and 15 on the clock, plus the additional lap after that, don't forget. 2 safety car periods in Formula Regional Middle East in this third race of the weekend, but still time for things to change hands and still opportunities for these drivers to go for it as Noah Lyle launches in on Luduki and they go side by side through that corner. Luduki desperately trying to get back on in front of the Australian. The Australian is not prepared to back down. And Noah Lyle wants to go right round the outside of the Chinese driver. They're both going to drift off the road. So as far as I'm concerned, that's stalemate. And Noah Lyle will have the inside line. They bang wheels, and Noah Lyle will get through. The Australian absolutely forceful on Luduki. He's not going to be happy about that. And diving up the inside, that's going to be Teofil Nile desperately trying to keep Nikhil Bora behind him. But Bora's going to get the place. Oh no, sorry, that's Brita Del Pino, and Teofil Nile runs out wide. And also wide goes one of the race GP cars. I think that's Kanato Lee. Oh no, sorry, Lee's already out of the race, so that's got to be Jesse Carrasquedo. Still Nile and Del Pino side by side. Lyle and Liu are still at it, and now we're going to get 2 moves in one as Nikhil Bora is going to take on Del Pino and Teofil Nile in the same breath. They're still side by side. Del Pino will finish off the move. Oh, and there's contact further back as one of the Evans GP cars. He's going around for a spin with damage. So more frantic problems for Evans GP. So who is it that's gone? I think it's going to be Isaac. I'm sorry, I think it might be John Bennett that's gone around. Meanwhile, Del Pino back on the inside of Bora. Teofil Nile going with him. They're still side by side. I wonder if John Bennett's just going to be able to limp back to the pits and retirement. But certainly he got pitched around in a spin, and I think there was big damage to his car. So we have several retirements from this race. Wang Shengwei, Gonzo Peugeot, Kanato Lee, Giovanni Macchio, and Ugo Chukwu. And I think John Bennett is going to be the next of them. But can he move his car? That's the key factor. Because he's obviously pitched the car around into a spin, or somebody else has assisted him. Yeah, he's hobbled back to the pits. It's game over. Let's see what happened. He turns in. He's got an MP to the middle. Whoops. Contact. That is very unfortunate. I think that's Isaac Barashi that's ended up tagging in with John Bennett there. So very unfortunate indeed for him. But it looks to me as though the race will continue under green flag conditions because he has been able to recover to the pits. So Tuka Tarpanen will continue his run in the lead of this race. Then James Walton of Australia, Zachary David of Malta, Murray Boyer locks up, Taylor Barnard trying to come at him. So Taylor Barnard could really do with getting a decent points finish from race number 3 to try and shake off any of the difficulties that could come post-investigation race 2. And of course, if Tuka Tarpanen scores 15 more points than him in this race, which is why it's set to be at the moment, then that lead will go up to 46 points. And that will make winning this title very difficult as Costa Tabares gets incredibly close to the back wing of Taz Indervubazak under braking. Onto the start-finish straight here. So across the line they come once again. So far so good. A lot of track limits warnings going out to drivers. James Walton's got one of them in second place. Murray Boyer's got one in fourth. And another man in trouble is Gao Yujia. So Gao Yujia having his problem as well. Here we come again. Rafael Kamara trying to take on Brando Badua, the Brazilian versus the Italian. Mumbai Falcon trying to overtake the PHM AIX car. Under the W Hotel once again. And still they battle onwards. Not easy to know who's going to get the best of this. And what a sensational scrap it continues on to be. See, when the drivers keep themselves to themselves and don't have too much fisticuffs, we have some great racing. Now, one of the advertising hoardings seems to have slipped on the main straight there. So thank goodness we haven't got big gusts of wind, because that could end up flying into the cars there as they come through. That was not on that particular shot, it was on one of the previous shots. I think it had got loose. Costa to Paris, still hustling Taz in the Vivazak. On the way down to the hairpin once again. Is this going to be the move from Taparis? It is. He's game on for it. He's got a chance. So if the Vivazak responds, he'll go slow in and fast out. And they'll go wheel to wheel once again. You've got to say that the new changes to this circuit. Oh, look how close they are, basically locking wheels as they go down the back straight. Somebody's got to resist here. Somebody's got to give way. If neither driver does, it's going to end messy. So Taparis decides to bail out of it for the moment, lets Interfivazak go, decides to go slow in, fast out, knows that Interfivazak's going to be compromised on the way through defending, as one of the pinnacles overshot in the chicane. But Taparis is not only going to have a faster exit, he's also going to have the slipstream on Taz Interfivazak. So he has another chance to come by. Here he goes. Interfivazak sends him wide. Can Taparis get very tight in on the radius? No, he can't, so he's got to resist it. More track limits warnings going out. One for Jessica Descado and one for the 14 of Jose Garfias. So actually both Mexicans involved in that one. Is up the inside. That's Teofil Nal going wheel to wheel with Nikhil Bora again. And Bora absolutely determined. You're not getting through, mate. Excellent work from Nikhil Bora. Desperately trying to fend off the Frenchman. 1 minute 30 left in the weekend of timed racing. Oh, big slide from Interfivazak. He manages to catch the back end of the car before it overtakes the front. But you really get the sense that he's under big pressure here from Costa Taparis. So Taparis is going to put him under more pressure. Then Del Pino, then Bora, then Nile, then Lyle. And here comes the chance maybe from Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. He's hustling Jose Garfias. Jessica Descado is in that little gaggle of cars as well. And we go into the final minute of timed action here. And I think Tuukka Tarpanen will start this lap before time runs down to 0. So we should get 2 laps of racing left out of this final race of the weekend in Formula Regional Middle East. But do not forget that after this race, we will have the 3 races from F4 UAE. The reason we've done it this way with Friday and Saturday running for Formula Regional Middle East is so that a few of the drivers and personnel can jet off to Bahrain for the FIA Formula 3 testing session. Opportunity for Taparis on Interfivazak, and he knows it. Just take your time. Read the situation. Up in front, you've got Brandon Badua still dueling away with Rafael Camara. And Camara's actually got through now on the Italian. So Brandon Badua drops to 7th. Camara back up to P6. This will help Camara in his bid to be 3rd in the Drivers' Championship. He's worked his way forward beautifully, picking off 1 car at a time. And the Brazilian definitely making good work of the opportunities he's been given in this one. Not going to be a race-winning effort, but certainly some good points on the board. Time runs down to 0. So Tuukka Tarpanen leads the race on what is now the penultimate lap. Costa Taparis still swarming around behind Taz Interfivazak with Bruno Del Pino, the Spanish driver, in the MP Motorsport car in very hot pursuit. There's Teofil Nal, the blue and white Santaloc, number 44, and there is the purple, pink and white machine of Noah Lyle, the XL Motorsport car, their first campaign in Formula Regional, don't forget. So just one team yet to score points in the Formula Regional Middle East Championship in 2024, and that is the R&B Racing team, who were happy to celebrate Chinese New Year last night. And every other team on the grid has now managed to score points before we head to the season finale at the Dubai Autodrome. Now, Tuukka Tarpanen's last lap was the fastest of the race, at 1 minute 50.805. So Tarpanen's still got plenty of confidence in the car, and it looks pretty serene from his point of view. He's actually going to come out of the weekend in an even stronger position than he entered it. And as has been mentioned a couple of times before, his consistency has been absolutely extraordinary. 2nd place in race 1, P5 in race 2, now looking good for the victory. Even James Wharton can't keep up with him at the moment. Tuukka Tarpanen just 1 lap away from a massive championship lead heading to the final 3 races of the year. If he outscores Taylor Barnard in that first race, he will be champion. Essentially, if he wins this race and the next one, race 1 in Dubai, he will be the Formula Regional Middle East champion. So that's got to be Tuukka Tarpanen's game plan here. He was conservative in race 1 and in race 2. He bagged the points where he needed to, but he's just got the job done nicely. And as a rookie, he has done very much what we saw from Andrea Kimi Antonelli in Formula Regional Middle East last year. In 2023, the Italian drove a very calculated season. Once he started winning, it was very hard to get him to stop. And he would just bang in the points when he couldn't win. Oh, big issue further back. That's Nikhil Bora going for a spin after tangling with Teofil Nal by the look of it. So Teofil Nal and Nikhil Bora finally run out of opportunities to keep it clean. And that is Alexander Abkasava at turn 1. Well, fortunately, the field has already gone through that part of the course, so I don't envisage we're going to need a safety car for that. But it's bitter frustration for Nikhil Bora and for Teofil Nal, as well for Alexander Abkasava. The leader is on the last lap, and here he is, Tuukka Tarpanen, Tuukka the Tiger, as he is known back in Finland. It's incredible to think that just 5 short years ago, a very talented young kid from Finland emerged on the scene of international karting in the FIA European Championship with the Kotala sports team, a squad that nobody outside of Scandinavia had ever heard of. Nobody had ever heard of Tuukka Tarpanen either. He dominated proceedings in the final at Angeville in France, and he just kept on winning from that moment on. Won the World Championship as a junior, and now he's an absolutely extraordinary competitor. F4 was his oyster last year. Now he's in Formula Regional, and he is 1 race away from becoming Middle East champion in Formula Regional. Tuukka Tarpanen wins in brilliant style here at Yas Marina. Absolutely jubilant. Tuukka Tarpanen now has a 46-point lead over Taylor Barnard, minimum, with 75 points still to be won in this championship. All Tuukka Tarpanen has to do is win race 1 at Dubai, and he will be Formula Regional Middle East champion. What a performance from the rookie. His opening weekend, he scored consistent points, and he managed to get the wins under his belt in round 2 at Yas Marina. Ever since then, he has just been banging in results. And what a performance from Tuukka Tarpanen. Everybody back home in Finland is going to be absolutely ecstatic. In fact, some people have already stated that Tarpanen's performance in this year's Formula Regional Middle East Championship is already greatly exceeding Kimi Antonelli's in last year's. I mean, that's debatable. Maybe there's some bias to that in one way, shape or form, but there's no denying that the surprise package of the season, Tuukka Tarpanen, was expected to be good in Formula Regional Middle East. He was expected to be fast. Not this fast. I'm very proud to know him and the family, and all of the work that Jussi Kotala and the Kotala sports team have done to pluck this boy out of obscurity, take him to the European stage and show the world what he can do. There's been a handful of world champions from Finland in various different disciplines. Don't forget that Finland is not just a Formula 1 nation, it's also a rallying nation. They've got some amazing talent coming up through the ranks, but without a shadow of a doubt, the most prosperous, the most exciting, the most talked about of those is the man on your screen, Tuukka the Tiger, looking so strong in 2024, and we're not even at March yet. Excellent display. You run out of superlatives for him, you really, really do. Well, not just him doing a fantastic job, of course, but an excellent performance there from James Wharton, very consistent to get his best result as a Formula Regional rookie. And Zachary David, 3rd position. I'm fairly sure that's the first time this season that the top 3 drivers on the podium are all rookies. So excellent work from all of the drivers in this one. Mari Boyer is actually best of the rest on this occasion. 4th position for him. 5th place for Taylor Barnard from Rafael Kamara, Brando Badoa, Tazza de Vubazak, Costa Taparis and Bruno Del Pino. But an absolutely terrific result for the Finn, Tuukka Tarpanen, absolutely and thoroughly deserving this. Let's look back over the best bits. So the highlights going to be an interesting one. It was a bit of a stop-start race, the 3rd race of the weekend, that is for sure. But Tuukka Tarpanen absolutely in command of his faculties up front. Bit of a run wide there at the start from Rafael Kamara. But in essence, everybody having a very solid race of it. Great run from Tuukka Tarponen, who's had a solid performance. And a really exciting battle down there. We've even got to see the two FP teammates, Nigel Bora and Bruno Del Pino, having a strong charge out there on the course. Marty Boyer making his dive on Taylor Barnard on the opening lap. I wonder if Barnard was having more problems with the car than we first thought. Got very close for comfort on that first lap. Several drivers having to slide around. There were some retirements in that race, of course, as well. So a very difficult situation for all of the contenders on this one. But we're going to see some really exciting battles and badinage out there. There is Monzo Peugeot's car coming to a stop. And a really exciting duel for all of the contenders as they continue in fine style. Well, there we are, folks. A fabulous run so far then in this weekend. And Tuukka Tarponen comes through for the third race win of the weekend. A brilliant performance from him. Second place for James Wharton ahead of Zachary David and Marty Boyer. Taylor Barnard, fifth position. Slim hopes now in the championship, but at least he is comfortable enough to secure second by the look of it. Rafael Camara in sixth place ahead of Brandon Badoa, Tazza de Vavazak, Costa Tabaris and Bruno Del Pino. So they are the point scorers. We are now ready for the podium ceremony. So Zachary David, third position here at Yas Marina. Another bit of silverware for the young man from Malta and for Race GP. Great effort. A great run from James Wharton. Excellent performance from the Australian for Mumbai Falcons. Really put on an excellent display. Good to see him banking some serious points towards the end of the season. But the victory goes the way of the Tiger. He has the eye of the Tiger. Tuukka Tarponen. Tuukka the Tiger doing a fantastic job as he mounts the podium once again. Excellent work from the Finn. Thoroughly deserving of his epic accolades so far in this Formula Regional Middle East Championship season. And wonderful to see three rookies on the podium as well. I believe that is Mark Schumin of GT Tyres that is there presenting the podiums to our competitors. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen, once again, Tuukka Tarponen victorious. And a very important win that is too. The Rookie Cup win and the overall win, with just 3 races to go. And by my mathematics, if it stays like this, the points table is just 46 points, the gap between Tuukka Tarponen and Taylor Barnard, with 75 available. If Tucker wins race 1 in Dubai, he is the Formula Regional Middle East champion. So a fabulous way to end the season. And it's party time here in Yas Marina as the boys will get busy with the fizzy here at Yas Marina. Fabulous performance from our 3 drivers. There's still more Formula Regional Middle East action to come a week from now in Dubai, when this man, Tucker the Tiger, could end up becoming our new champion in only his first campaign in Formula Regional, and that bodes well for his 2024 season's aspirations. There are 3 F4 UAE Championship races to come. The first of those will be later this afternoon. We hope you've enjoyed Formula Regional Middle East this weekend. I'm Jake Sanson. We'll be back for more in Dubai, but there's F4 UAE on the way.